Hi, this is Cindy from Part-Time Permies, and today we are going to make some Nocino or Foraged, or I have no idea if I'm saying those right because I don't speak Italian or Croatian, so otherwise known as walnut liqueur. So the first thing we need to do is collect some black walnuts, which I have a black walnut tree here behind me next to the chickens. So the one problem is those young black walnuts that are dropping to the ground. Some of them are in the chicken areas. I'm not going to use those because I don't want to use ones that are contaminated. If they've dropped to the ground outside the chicken area, I'll pull those, or I'll go up into the tree and pick some as well. Now, what you need for these are young black walnuts. Basically, you need the immature ones that you can still cut through easily because that's what we'll be doing, and we'll be quartering these up and using those for our walnut liqueur. So we have one black walnut tree on our entire property, and it does have some nice small walnuts on it. So you can see up in the tree there are a few bunches of these immature walnuts. And they are starting to fall onto the ground a little bit with the windy day. Gus keeps hissing at me every time I move that ladder. I know, you're just protecting your flock, Gus. You're being good. Doing your job. So it is extremely hot out here. And especially in the sunshine. So in the shade, although you can't see me as well, it's a lot better. I'm not finding too many walnuts on the ground outside of the chicken area, which I don't want contaminated walnuts. So with chicken poop, that would not be good. But show you, these walnuts are being blown down in this wind. That's one in the chicken area I'm not going to worry about. Yay, we found one. Gus and the baby Curiosity. He loves young babies. And grass. You get a snack and baby watch at the same time. Okay, so next step is to make our liqueur.
Alright, this is Chef Michael. We're doing a late night casual throw together of Nocino. Nocino is black walnut liqueur. We have black walnuts harvested today. Perfect time, end of June into the middle of July. These are American black walnuts. English walnuts could be used, they might be a little milder. This is traditional product of Italy, of Florence and northern areas, as well as moving eastward into Croatia and other areas. Have similar items. It's going to yield a very earthy, rich, complex flavored liqueur that is sweetened. And so it could be either diluted and used possibly with some soda water, or it could be consumed straight as a digestif or almost like a bittering item. as it's sweeter. It could be also used as a digestive at the end of a meal to just to finish a meal and settle the stomach and things. But it's going to take quite a while before it's ready, so we're going to need, and by the way, I was aware of this type of item. It's commercially available. I just didn't know how simple it is to make it. So thanks to local friends, which are also making it and posting, we continue to do some research and realize how easy it was, and we could use our own walnuts. So the first thing I'm going to do is just lightly rinse these walnuts, and then we're going to cut them either in halves or quarters so that we can expose them. What we're looking for is a small walnut. This is smaller than a golf ball or a ping pong ball because we don't want any shell. We want to be able to cut through it pretty easily. And we're going to steep the entire thing, the outside and the young developing nut. So for each quart or liter that we're going to produce, we're going to need about 24 walnuts. You could be a little bit less on a black walnut, on an American black walnut, a little bit more on a European or an English walnut. We have, I want to say we have around 50 here. I have some basic vodka. We are, well, we're under 2 liters. This bottle looks like there's more in there than there is. So we're going to probably get about a batch and a half. I happen to have a half-gallon milk jug from a local milk producer that was sitting around. I just ran downstairs to see what we had that had a big enough lip to be able to get everything in there. So this is going to work perfect. So by the time I put the nuts in it and I put the vodka in it, I think we will have a pretty good match. You could use any type of neutral spirits. Grappa, which is distilled, a white brandy, or made from the grape seeds and leftover skins and such after pressing wine. You could do a gin, but gins tend to have their own flavors, or other types of neutral liquors. All right. So these yield nicely. We are on the 1st of July. Had a late start, a cold spring, but we've had a hot last few weeks. So the skins are less than 1/4 of an inch, and then you've got this soft, beginning to develop walnut, and this is exactly what we want. I think we got about 20 if I was counting somewhat accurately. See where this gets us. So the tannins have not developed extremely strong, but you can smell them. They smell like a classic black walnut. It's not staining my hands immediately. I may rinse my hands a little bit. Let me add some more. I would say we're gonna do about 30. So I'll do 10 more, looks like. So I've seen people say halve them when they're smaller. I've seen people quarter them. I've seen people almost chunk them up or lightly grind them. Now, a lot of ways to make this, a lot of traditions. Some people kind of steep it in the sun. Generally, that's probably not recommended. But the longer you're going to steep it, the less aggressive flavors you want to put in, because it's going to do a longer extraction. The faster you're going to access it. We saw a recipe where people were cooking it. I don't think cooking it's a good idea. But they were also making it ready in 60 days. We're going to strain this out at about a month and a half, 30, 45 days. And then we're going to let it rest at least 6 months. So you're talking about basically end of the year, holidays. Maybe we're going to let it go up to a year. I was told that it really gets mellow and very nice as you hit the year mark, and that kind of stops maturing. So 2 cinnamon sticks. You got these long cinnamon sticks. Some people use more or less in most of the recipes, but not all of them. You're just building background flavors. We've got about 10, 11 cloves. Cloves are also very commonly put in there. Got a pinch of salt, just a little bit. I think that's a baking thing. Whenever you're going to add sugar, put a little salt in there. Vanilla beans are very expensive and limited supply this over the last year, so I've got some. I'm just going to guess that's about a tablespoon and a half. Have a pure vanilla extract, so I believe this is actually real vanilla. Citrus zest, very common. Either oranges or lemons. Italians love those background flavors. I do too. If you think about dark, earthy, rich flavors, orange goes so nice. Thinking about citrus peel on an espresso. Some people also put some coffee beans in there, like 10 beans in a batch. We're not going to. Cindy doesn't like coffee. I don't think 10 beans is going to affect the flavor actually very much. So you could cut the zest in a lot of ways. I don't want too much pith. The pith will make it bitter, but I don't need to bitter it because I think the walnuts will do that. So I'm really looking for the oils that are contained in the outer skins. So a nice peeler that doesn't cut too deep like I just used. And I like just putting the skins right in like that. So for each batch, you're going to use about 1 lemon or 1 orange. So we're doing close to a double batch. Nice complementary flavors. I'm thinking about there's a lot of Italian liquors we don't drink here much, but finished meals that are just very unctuous, and you make them with odd things: rhubarb, artichokes, walnuts, you know, herbs and spices, and just things that you think are almost unedible, but once you let them mature, they become very rich. So that's about it. This is gonna go and sit for 30, 45 days. We're going to strain out everything. We'll kind of get the particles out. And then we're going to add in simple syrup. So simple syrup is usually a 2 to 1 or sometimes a 3 to 1 sugar to water. It's typically boiled to bring it in to bring it into solution so it doesn't crystallize. Lightly cooled, and then it's going to be poured in to replace the walnuts that came out, and it will sweeten it, and we will cap it down and let it go for that 6 months to a year, and then it's ready. May add a few more walnuts in here. We're just going to see where we end up. Okay, this bottle looks like it's got more stuff in it than it really does. There's a lot of glass here. But if I can't find anything else, I'm not going to add any more walnuts. I don't want to overdo it. But the simple syrup is a good way if it's too strong. You know, the simple syrup dilution helps, and then of course you can cut it when you serve it. So, all right, so vodka-based classic tincture. Got some nice herbs, some citrus. Got our black walnuts. There isn't really much more to do. So it's part-time Permies. Cindy did the harvest. This is step 1. Step 2 is adding simple syrup. Forget about it. And then last step is around Christmas time, New Year's. We'll see if it's any good. Have a good night.